Hello and welcome to this series about design patterns. This time we'll be talking about maybe the simplest pattern of all, the Singleton pattern. Let's start by looking at some code. In this program we have a controller. I have called it the main controller, just to signal to you that there can be only one. You cannot have two main controllers, then it will be a main and a second controller or something like that. So this is a main controller. There can be only one instance of it. I've added some functionality. We have here a list of employees, and we have here a constructor that initializes this list. We have a method that adds employees, a method that deletes employees, and we have a toString that returns the string of there are 5 employees in total, for example. And in our program here we have a public static main controller underscore main controller, and we're starting out by initializing this main controller, because when we have initialized it we can use it. So here we are adding an employee. Maybe, just maybe, somewhere else in this program we need to add an employee. So I have made a class here called another part of the program, and in that class we have a method called SomeMethod. So if we want to call the same controller, the same instance of that controller, we'll be calling program, that's the class with our main in, underscore main controller, add employees, new employee. There's no doubt in my mind that you all can see that this is not pretty, and that this isn't pretty at all. So what do we do instead? Oh, the easy question here would be to say static everything like this, and then we have to make the list static, and it's rock and roll. No? Why not? Oh, you cannot override a static member, so we cannot make this toString static. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, so this wasn't the solution. So what could we do instead? And here is where the Singleton pattern comes and helps us. Here we have a public constructor. A public constructor makes it possible for everybody to make an instance of this class. So the main thing with the Singleton pattern is to create one single object of this class, and only one single object that can be used by everybody, but it will be the same. So the first thing to do here is to call it private, like this. Now we're getting errors. We can't make a new of it because it's private. So instead of this, we are creating up here a static reference, static main controller, and we are allowed to do this. And we are allowed to do this because we are in the class. So it's okay to make it here. We can say private does, just to emphasize that this is private. You cannot get this main controller instance. And then we create here a public, and it returns the main controller. And just say get instance, and it should return the main controller. So we say if main controller equals null, what should we do if it's null? We should initialize it like this and say return, sorry, not like this, down here. So now it's initialized, so we say return main controller like this. Now this one is happy. We can use a private constructor because we are within the class. Now we just need to write this in another way. I'll just comment this out and comment this out, and then we'll say main controller dot, sorry, we're missing something here, public static, of course, like this. So now we can say get instance. So now we get an instance. We could say here main controller equals this, and main controller dot add employee, new employee. We could do it like this, or we could do it single line. So we could actually just say main controller get, sorry, wrong, main controller dot get instance like this, add employee, new employee. Single line, not too much code. And we have the other part of the program. This, of course, we should delete this one now. We don't use that anymore. Sorry, let's just comment it out instead, so we can be able to see it still. And of course this gives an error. So instead we'll just use not this code. Instead we'll just use this one, like this. So now we have a singleton. Through the singleton we'll have always have the same instance regardless of where we are going. And we can see that in our main controller, because what happens is we are asking the get instance. It says if the instance is null, which means it's not initialized yet, then initialize it and return it. And if it's not null, then it's already made and initialized. It's already initialized, so there's always an instance of that object, and we're just returning that object. So this if is only for the first time you call the get instance. So that was the ultra short presentation of the singleton design pattern. Thank you for watching.